I think that one of the biggest things we can do is help educate ourselves about simple things like food labels, the source of our food. You mentioned regenerative farming,
Hmm.
explaining to people how they can get access to regenerative farming. What can they do in their local neighborhoods? How can they shop on a budget? And some people live in areas of lower resources. How can they still eat healthy? Are there options for them? But even a simple thing like 4 grams of sugar is 1 teaspoon on a food label helps someone immediately understand if they're picking up a processed or ultra processed food, how much of sugar is in that food in that serving. And a great example is a plant-based yogurt with fruit, or a fruited dairy yogurt can can have upwards of 6 teaspoons of added sugar,
Hmm.
because it's very different from having a plain yogurt, adding some fresh frozen actual blueberries, and then some, say, cinnamon for sweetness. So all of this becomes really important in educating ourselves, because the more we know, the better we can advocate for our health and for ourselves. The food companies stay they're very savvy to stay within the labeling laws, but they put out labels which are very confusing to people, like whole wheat or whole grain, or low fat or low sugar, or fat free or gluten free. All of these can be very misleading as being healthy foods, when in fact within those groups there may be some healthy choices, but many of them um, are wrought with other issues.
That yes, I have encountered that. Like something like a popsicle that you don't expect. It wouldn't even have a grain in it, but it says it's gluten free. Or that's being exaggerated, but it does have 15 grams of sugar. So it's
That's right.
almost a deliberate distraction. I feel like in the food industry.
It is a deliberate. I've seen water being labeled as gluten free.
Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to still understand, like, where, how, why is that? So it's obviously a marketing ploy, and it's on us to educate ourselves, because they are not out for our health, Stacy. They are out to make money on the foods that they sell. They're not for our health. So one of the easiest things we can do is start to eat actual whole food, real food, versus a processed or ultra processed version of that food. And I firmly believe in kind of an 80-20 sort of, just a way to live, let's call it. Because you may take your children to a birthday party, or maybe a birthday, and you would like to have a slice of cake, whatever it might be. Life happens. So you might be running through an airport and have missed your lunch. So you need to grab a bite on the go because you're running to a flight and you may not eat for several hours. Those things happen in life. And I think it's important to be flexible with ourselves and understand that we're trying the most of the time, for most of the time, to eat those healthy salads and healthy foods and healthy fats and proteins. But you can return from an unhealthy meal by simply, catching up at the next meal. I think that type of flexibility is hugely important, because people fall into this trap of eat this, not that, and they fall into these food rules that trap them and make them feel bad, and then they can't move forward.